This is my brother, Mr. Francis Asoya Abanga. And I just want to ask a few questions why he's here tonight. Mr. Abanga, why are you here tonight?
Well, I'm just here because the president of Ghana is in town, and I hear he's a very good man, and we want to see the plans that he actually has for our brothers and sisters back home. You know, we know that Ghana has discovered a lot of things in present days, and a whole lot of people are still struggling. We just want to see those of us in the diaspora to see what plans that he has back home. We know that he was struggling because of the election petition going on. Now that is over. We want to see the plans that he has for us, especially those who live back home.
As a non, do you think that the educational disparities that is going on, we got 8 universities in the country, got all 7 in the south, there's only 1 up north, you think that he will do something about that? Or is it a controversial question?
Well. I'm a northerner, what can I say? I expect that he should do something about it because the way the system is, it still looks like back in the days. You know, we need to have at least a little bit diversity in our education system. At least more schools to be staffed up north. But I don't know his plans. As I said, we are here to hear what he has to offer for the Ghanaian people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Today, we had an opportunity to address the world on the stage of the UN. And that was the main purpose for which we came to the US. But as you know, on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, a lot of activities are organized. And so since I came with my team, we've been in and out of so many meetings, you know, re-establishing our links with the US authorities, meeting investors, you know, speaking to important companies and organizations that are investing in Ghana, you know, and so many other programs. We have had very fruitful discussions, bilateral, multilateral, and today I'm meeting my own fellow countrymen and women. It has become tradition that when the president travels abroad, he finds some time to interact with his countrymen. This tradition has existed for a very long time, and it did because at the time, information about what was happening back home was very sparse and difficult to come by. And so it was necessary for the president to have to talk and explain what was going on. But today, I guess that you probably are more acquainted with what has happened in Ghana over the last 24 hours than I am because of the power of the internet. Because of the power of the internet. But why do we still carry out this tradition? We still carry it out because there's something called a horse, and it's better to hear from the horse's own mouth than to read it on the internet. Is that not so? Yes. Good. So today the horse is here, and you're going to hear it from the horse's own mouth. Yeah, there certainly is a lot of misinformation on the internet. Not everything you read on the internet is correct. And so you must have a discerning mind sometimes when you read some of the things that they post on the net. Let me thank you and congratulate you for all the things that you're doing, representing this country, our country as ambassadors where you are. Every report we get about Ghanaians all over the world is positive. I mean, Ghanaians are different. Anywhere I have gone as president, anytime I meet the authorities of that country, they say, I mean, Ghanaians are wonderful people, and they always praise us to high heaven. And so to touch on what's been going on back home, I'm sure you're all aware, we held elections in December last year, and the EC declared the results, and the inauguration took place on January 7th. Our brothers disputed the results, and they decided to go to the Supreme Court. I mean, certainly the last 8 months have been a baptism of fire for me. And normally when you get elected into office, you expect that you have a honeymoon of some sort and have some time to settle down and form your government and have a little peace, to put things in order before, you start to have any crisis or, serious issues. Unfortunately, this has not been the case for this government. There's been no honeymoon. It's been a baptism of fire. It's been 8 months of, constant situations that need to be dealt with. The first was coming out of the election. We had problems with the economy in respect of the deficit. When we had done the numbers for 2012, we realized that the deficit was far higher than we had estimated it to be. And what accounted for the higher than normal deficit? A couple of issues. One, the single spine salary structure that we were implementing. The arrears and the payments in respect of allowances and things had turned out higher than it had been anticipated. And so that's put pressure on the economy. Secondly, subsidies had built up on petroleum products, and the government was having to pay huge amounts of money to the bulk distributing companies for the losses they suffered as a result of the lower than expected fuel prices. Then again, utility prices, were accumulating subsidies. And so government was having to pay for crude oil supplies for the utility companies, especially VRE. Because what had happened was the West African gas pipeline had been broken. And so that has been our only supply of gas. We get gas from Nigeria. And so when it broke, it meant that VRA had to turn all their thermal plants to start using light crude oil again. And the equivalent of gas to produce 1 kilowatt hour of energy is 30% of that of crude oil. So if crude oil is 100%, if you use gas, gas costs 30% and crude oil costs 100%. So it meant that VRA's operating costs immediately jumped up from 30% to 100%. And so we should have adjusted the electricity tariffs by that margin to make sure that we're able to recover, the amount they were spending on fuel. Unfortunately, that wasn't done. And so we had to subsidize VRA with crude parcels of oil. And each parcel of oil cost $60 million. I think last year we bought them about 5 parcels or something like that. And then early this year we had to continue to give them some additional crude in order that they don't shut down the plants. So that also was one of the problems that led to the higher than normal deficit. And so we had to present a budget to Parliament, and the budget had to reflect the realities. That is, bring the deficit back on track, bring the economy back on track, reduce the deficit, and tame inflation. Inflation is your worst enemy in any economy. And so inflation has started to inch up, interest rates were going up, and so we needed to put in place measures to bring these down. And so the Minister of Finance here, and his team worked on it, and we presented some figures to Parliament. And so we've been implementing that budget, and happily the economy is responding positively. We still have some challenges, but we're dealing with those challenges. We need to keep wages stable for some time, because wages are consuming a huge amount of the budget. And I've said it already, almost 70% of total revenue is going to wages and salaries, and only 30% is going into other goods and services and capital expenditure. That is not acceptable anywhere. The universal standard is 35 to 40% should go into wages and salaries, and then the rest must go into goods and services and capital. And so we're going to work with organized labor over the years to ensure that we bring that percentage back into sync. Well, apart from the economy, we also had some strange market fires. Fires everywhere, every night you go to bed, and it was strange. Anytime I traveled, when I had just wrapped up and I was on my way back, I was met with news that another market had caught fire. And so that was another major challenge for us. It destroyed a lot of livelihood for our mothers and our sisters. And the government, in a small way, tried to recompense them. And so I had 2 million Ghana cedis, distributed by the Ministry of Gender and Children to alleviate some of the suffering of our market women. Aside from that too, we had strikes. Almost every professional body was going on strike and asking for one thing or the other. I mean, the high wage bill was a part of the problems we had with the economy. And the irony and the paradox is that notwithstanding that high wage bill, all manner of organizations were going on strike and asking for even more money, and so that again was a difficulty we had to deal with. And the way I have tended to deal with it is to be transparent and to let them see what the figures are. I mean, a lot of time people believe that government has some huge money, stacked up somewhere, and once you don't let people see the figures and know the information, they do think that if they put pressure, you will conjure some money from somewhere. But I've said that I'm not going to borrow money from outside and come and use it to pay wages and salaries. Recently, we floated the Eurobond, and we have given strict instructions that that money should go into the productive sector of the economy. It should not be used for any recurrent expenditure. And so we're not going to borrow money to pay wages and salaries. We'll pay what we have. What finances government is the taxes that are collected. If Ghanaians pay taxes, there will be more money for us to pay more wages. But a small amount of our people pay taxes. Everybody else believes that somebody else should pay the tax, but then we should all enjoy the best of social services. It doesn't happen that way. You live in this country, you know how it is. When it is time to file your taxes, everybody is sweating. In Ghana, it's not the same. Some people don't even know that they must file their taxes at the end of the year. Maybe some market taxes are collected or little taxes are taken from them, and they believe that's it. It says, but at the end of the year, you must declare your income. And if there is a shortfall, then you pay whatever difference there is. If it is over what you should actually pay, then they're supposed to refund it to you or give you a tax credit, to cover the following year. Unfortunately, a lot of us don't know that back home. And so those who continue to pay taxes are those whose incomes are known, and government deducts it directly before they give you your salary. And so that continues to be a problem. And worst of all, we had an energy crisis. And I was called the king of Dumso. And they developed the greeting in Ghana. And so if you met your friend, you said, "Oh, yeah, Mamu Dumso." And what was the response? "Yeah, Mahama." So those were the problems that I was surprised with as soon as I was inaugurated as president. And so we needed to focus and not be distracted and actually get down to work. And so for me, the number one priority was the energy sector, to try and get over the energy crisis, because energy has a direct correlation to the acceleration of the economy. And if businesses are not getting access to power, then it will slow down the economy. And we can see the effects. We've got the outturn for the first half of the year, and the GDP growth rate was 6.7%. Normally it should be above 7%. We're hoping that with the stabilization of the energy sector in the second half of the year, we'll see a pickup of the economy so that we can still hit hopefully about 7.5% in respect of GDP growth. We have set ourselves the target to grow at least 8% averagely per year.